Lucky Lefty Podcast, Onora Boys in the building, brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It is definitely that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you're going to do it and drink, make sure you do it
responsibly.
Got to do it responsibly. LL back in the building. Started out smooth tonight. It's a little later in the evening. You know what I'm saying? So we started out real smooth tonight. We're going to have Marcus Freeman, his presser, put a nice little bow on Texas A&M. The coordinators, they spoke yesterday. We'll hear what Al Golden had to say, Mike Denbrock, and then we'll preview NIU a little bit. And then who has more pressure now with the expanded playoff? The players, the coaches, administration? We'll talk about it right here. Lucky Lefty Podcast. You don't want to miss. You need to go to patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Man, this week's version of Lucky Legends, where former Notre Dame players tell some of the most authentic and hilarious stories from the locker room, the classroom, the campus, during their playing days at Notre Dame. You don't want to miss out on this week's version where they talked about Anthony Knapp, Sam Pendleton, what they just went through. I can only imagine what it was like for those young men, their first start, donning the gold helmet, College Station, 107,000. Man, ranked number 7, going up against that defensive line. They'll be able to tell that story 10 to 20 years from now to Notre Dame fans and their family and their kids and their grandkids. But you hear Notre Dame players this week on Lucky Legends talking about their first start for the Domers and then talking about their most memorable season opener. You need to go check it out right now. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Just $5. Just $5. You get Lucky Legends every week. You get the actual players only podcast each and every week. You get the breakdown. MALIK has a chat room over there that he's going to jump into starting this after Northern Illinois game. You have so much other great content coming. Howard Griffith and myself with our Big Ten wrap up that's going to be dropping this Friday. So much content just for $5. You need to go over to Players Only. Don't forget Three's Company as well. It's going to be over there. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Then audio edibles each and every day on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You want to tap in over at CFB Nation. Follow us at Lucky Lefty Pod, X, Instagram, and now on TikTok. X, Instagram, and TikTok. And then subscribe. Lucky Lefty Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. It helps with our views. Leave your comments. You already know we respond to all, man. Regardless of whether or not you agree, disagree, we respond to all because we appreciate you. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast, home of the misguided passion, and you already know we will forever be committed to making sure that we spin it
different.
Let's go. What did we learn? Left 23-13. Notre Dame defeats Texas A&M. They need to send us some parting gifts or some gifts for allowing them to be that close by the end of the day. That's the way I feel. I'm still talking trash. Because I watched all the Texas A&M post-game and day after shows, and they still won't give credit to the Fighting Irish. They're saying crazy things like, we don't understand why Connor Wegman, he must have been sick. He had to be something. He had to have the flu. We don't understand why he was so unsettled in the pocket and why he was missing easy throws. Had nothing to do with Notre Dame. We don't understand. We just didn't expect that defensive line to give up 198 yards. Something had to be wrong schematically. The linebackers just didn't make the plays we expected them to play. That's because we have two of the best running backs in the world, in the college landscape. I mean,
That's right.
yo, you took the L. You took the L. You took it on the chin in front of your fans. The night before, you're screaming, hollering, you're keeping everybody up at midnight, and it meant nothing. You did all of that hoopla, meant nothing. You talked trash for weeks. You talked about Connor Wegman being better than Riley Leonard. Means nothing. take this double-digit loss. Las Vegas says thank you because they played the fools that continually put more and more money on Texas A&M. And now Vegas is just continuing to mint money. That's what they do. But you know what? I'm going to move on. That's my little rant, left. That's my little rant. So if you have any GTB questions, make sure you put them in the chat. We get to them immediately. If you have any super chats, we get to them immediately. We appreciate that. Thank you for continuing to support us in that way as well. So now, left, as you have sat and settled, I don't know how many times you've watched the game over. If you did watch it more than once, what do you feel like you have learned from Texas A&M about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish?
Well, what I learned was that, we have some resiliency. I think something that we have, which is good in the college football landscape, is to have what Riley Leonard did have or did show was he did have a calming factor. And intense moments in the game, intense drives, downs within the game at crucial moments, I never felt like, oh, we're overcoming something we don't have, right? I felt pretty calm that, okay, Riley will figure it out. 3rd and 4, Riley will get this. And I think that's something that was different than how I felt in years before. Was that, yeah, he may not have the spectacular attributes of a greatest player ever, but he does have that calming effect, which I think goes back to why he deserves and credit to him for earning that captainship. If you earned a captainship at Notre Dame, especially in the short amount of time that he was there, I think a lot of that showed within some of these drives where a young offensive line, some inexperienced guys out there that haven't been in that moment, they can lean on Riley. And I think that's what I learned offensively. And then defensively, no matter where, no matter when, no matter how, they're going to give us a chance to win. We just got to continue to play complimentary football to them and not put them in bad positions on the field to give up easy points. Because the only reason why they scored was because we gave up easy field position.
I agree with you, Lef. The one thing I learned, and I'm sure we have a list, but I'll put this, and I'm not saying it as in importance. I'm not saying number one, meaning this is the most important thing that I learned. But one thing I definitely learned, I watched the game 3 times, Lef. Watched it 3 times, and then I went back and watched certain segments because I was looking for certain things. And I said it before, I'll say it again. If Notre Dame plays a clean game, that's a 20-point game.
Yeah, easy.
I mean that. I'm dead serious about that. If Notre Dame plays anywhere close to a clean game, and of course, I give Texas A&M and that defense some credit. They wouldn't allow Notre Dame to play a clean game. But if Notre Dame had played a little bit cleaner, that game is a 17 to 20-point game. Like going back and watching it, I'm like, yes, Notre Dame was the faster team. They were the more physical team. I think both teams were well coached. Notre Dame had the better quarterback. Notre Dame had the better overall defense. And Notre Dame, both teams had really good special teams because that Texas A&M punter was fantastic on Saturday night. Yeah. He got them out of trouble on 2 or 3 occasions where I thought Notre Dame would get really good field position on the punt in the exchange of possession. But I think what the one thing I learned left that jumped out to me, offensively, that game was a whole lot better than it looked live. And what I mean by that is that if Riley Leonard can just be a little bit better, that's it. He does not have to be
Superman.
If he could just be a little bit cleaner, just a little bit. And that's going to be connected to the offensive line, giving him better protection as the season goes on. But you can't miss Chris Mitchell wide open. No. You can't miss Bo Collins at the top of his route. The DB falls down. You had time. And you can only see that on film. But it's like there were so many opportunities. There were at least 3 to 5 opportunities for big plays where either he didn't stick with it the touchdown instead of kicking a field goal, Jeremiah Love is wide open, man to man. In the end zone, bad throw. And even when you make the bad throw, Eli Raridan is wide open in the middle of the end zone if you just go through your progression and you had time. Those are the things that we need him to clean up. It's not a lot, but if you clean that up, this Notre Dame offense had the opportunities to put 30 points on the board against a formidable defense. The opportunities were there. That jumped out to me, Left, that this team has the opportunity, because people were like, why won't they push the ball down the field? The opportunities were actually there, but last year was the same thing.
I mean, yeah, it's the same story. We know
get somebody to pull the trigger. Left, you talked about this, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I'm telling you, the breakdown about this Texas A&M game is totally different. I love all of the podcasts that cover Notre Dame football, but there is nothing for me as a producer to sit behind the scenes for 2 hours and listen to Notre Dame players break the game down and sound totally different than anybody else that covers Notre Dame or has a platform. All due respect to them. The conversation that I was able to witness, and you can witness over at patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network each and every week, giving a recap and previewing the next game, it is totally different. It's just totally different. And the honesty with which you guys spoke this week, talking about, yes, it's cool that we put up 190, but if we're going to take that next step, we didn't bring you here for that. Wait, no, that's not why you're here. And I understand it's the first game.
No passing touchdowns. Cam Ward had how many at Florida?
Left. I don't really want to get into comparing because I don't think Florida was much. I wouldn't compare Florida's defense to Texas A&M. I just wouldn't. I would. That's just me, right? I think if Notre Dame switched places with Miami, I think Cam Ward has a much tougher time against Texas A&M's defense, and I think Notre Dame would pretty much put up 30-some points against that Florida defense in the Swamp.
Okay.
That's the way I see it. So I'm not trying to make a comparison because I think the games are totally different. It's apples and oranges. But for me, I think the opportunities were there, and I think that's encouraging because now it's just about execution. Now we know. I think you were able to see, and you pointed this out on Players Only. You were able to see, even without Riley Leonard having a good game, the wide receivers were open. Like you can see it. The wide receivers are different. It wasn't just Bo Collins. When Chris Mitchell came in, he was open. He had one catch. The other one, if he catches that ball, he has one man to beat, and he's probably off to the races for like 20, 30 yards. Yeah. So the opportunities are there. The wide receivers look better. They're definitely an upgrade over what the unit was able to do last year. Now we have to see the production, but that's all in connection with offensive line given time, Riley Leonard playing cleaner, and the guys making the plays and being explosive. What's the next thing you learned, Left?
About the defense, right? And defense being as dominant as they are, I think it's going to be important to see them do better with our offense doing better. I think I think Texas A&M would have scored less if offense was a little hotter and put more points on the board.
Defensively, what stood out to me, this is the first time, Left, and we're going to hear from Al Golden, second half of the show. Left, I've never seen 5 linebackers play, and every single linebacker made a spectacular play except for the fifth-year senior.
Yeah.
And that's not shade. I'm not shading Jack Kaiser because we've seen Jack Kaiser have pick sixes, make tremendous plays. So that's not, he doesn't have to prove that to us. We've seen him do that. But as much as people were worried about the youth on the offensive line and the youth at the linebacker position, watching the film, all of them made splash plays at some point. All of them. And they were running them in just like it's your turn. It wasn't based upon down and distance, where they're at on the field. Oh, we can't trust you at this point. They trusted every single young linebacker in whatever situation. And that, my friends, is absolutely amazing. And once again, I tip my cap to Marcus Freeman not yielding himself and that coaching staff, yielding to the temptation of playing more instinctive, younger, faster, and longer linebackers before they were ready. They were patient. They let their guys grow. They let their guys learn the system, and you saw the dividends of that against that Texas A&M offense on Saturday night. That was absolutely phenomenal to watch as I watched the game back.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
I don't know the last time. Look, you have anything else? Because I have another one left.
That our offensive line, once again, it's like, yeah, they may be not the upper echelon line that we're used to, but it's still better than 90% of college football offensive lines out there.
You know, talk about that, Left, because I'm going to give you some evidence of that.
Because we did the same thing last year.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 years ago. Okay, Madden, this, that. Even at their worst, we're still going against who we're going against and doing what we're supposed to do. It may not win every rep, but we're doing enough to win and getting stronger as the game goes on. So once again, you have to lean on, as a fan base, the credit banking system of the Notre Dame offensive line. It's grandma's recipes. Yeah, everybody thinks it looks easy when you read it, but you don't know how much to put in there.
Plus, you ain't got that soul.
Grandma's
cook without measuring.
You ain't got the so
you got to feel a pinch. Like, what is a pinch? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't know the right because she eyeing it.
Right.
She got so good, she start eyeing it.
Right.
We don't care about your new blenders or your Instapots or your ready-made waffle makers, all this new technology you got. You can rely on good old grandma's recipes. In the storm, in the rain, in the sun, in the wind, in any condition.
Yeah.
That's Notre Dame offensive line. Just lean on it. It may not look good now, but it's good when they make it, put it together, and put it on the field.
Yeah.
It's always gonna come through. You don't worry about that dish. You go to the family reunion, every part of the family got a dish.
Yeah.
Macaroni and cheese gonna be good. Don't. Grandma may not be here. The recipe's still the same. Don't worry about the dish, because when it show up, it's gonna be the first dish gone every time. So just rely on the fact that it's the recipe. We got the recipe at O-line.
Yeah.
Grandma may not make it, but the recipe's still gonna be good. Coach, he said, may not be there, but the O-line's still gonna be good. Rudolph may be taking it to a new direction. It may look different, but it's still gonna be good. Because that offensive line been cooking up for 20 plus years. And that's still better than 90% of college football offensive line.
Left, that's so true. The consistency and to be okay or better or average or better, to have the consistency of having an offensive line that is at worst middle of the pack in its bad years. It's absolutely amazing. And as I said before, and I continue to say it, we take the offensive line at Notre Dame for granted. We take tight ends at Notre Dame for granted. Why? Because the success has gone on for so long. Even when there were bad teams that didn't have a quarterback that could throw it through the air and be successful, or the wide receivers that can make big-time plays. The offensive line constantly 8, 9 men in the box. They did it. Ladies and gentlemen, Texas A&M had 8, 9 in the box all night, and they ran for 198. That 198 was not against a light box. That was 8, 9 in the box. Safety coming down the majority of the snaps late to add to the box. And that offensive line, with 2 freshmen on the left side, put up 198 and took over in the fourth quarter. That tip your cap, because they're going to be better. That's the crazy thing. This offensive line is going to get better. And the crazier thing left is when Jagasaw comes back next year and they have to figure out where he's going to play, and the left side returns and Billy Schrauff returns, right? And Emil Wagner returns and Ashton Craig returns. What's this offensive line going to be like next year? It's going to be crazy. But to your point, Left, dominant offensive line last year. Oregon, not good this year. They couldn't run the ball in Idaho, bro. Struggled. Dominant offensive line last year. Michigan, who for the last 4 to 5 years, they have been really good. That offensive line struggled mightily to run the ball. Struggled mightily. Florida State ran the ball like crazy last year. You couldn't run against Georgia Tech. You couldn't run against Boston College. What's going on? The Washington offensive line. It's not the same.
Not the same.
It's not easy. Ladies and gentlemen, give credit to whom credit, to where credit is due. It is not easy to consistently put up good to great offensive lines over a long term. It's not. And somehow, some way, with a few years here and there that we all can nitpick and say, well, that year they really weren't good. That year, when you talk about a 15-year period and 80% of the time your offensive line is top 10 to 15% in college football, what do you have to complain about? When your tight ends are top 10%. I had one of the producers, I laugh. One of the producers for Pat McAfee is an Iowa grad, Left. He had the nerve to call Iowa tight end U.
Yeah, right.
I was like, dude, we go all the way back to Mark Bavaro, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Iowa, y'all have like 3-4 dudes in the last 10 years. You living off that? You really want to pull up the tight end resume from Notre Dame that goes back to like the 60s? Stop. Dave Casper, thank you, Sid Irish. Like, dude, stop. Notre Dame fans, I'm telling you, man, there is a legacy that you have with this offensive line that I think myself, Ken Gibbs, when he came on with us, Left, we tried to get you all to understand, and I said it before, Mike Denbrock knows how to do this, knows how to call plays and put young offensive linemen in position, because guess what? That freshman at LSU is now the 10th pick in the 2025 draft on the ESPN mock draft. The freshman he started at LSU is now a first-round mock left tackle, even though they got spanked by USC. I glory in that for a second. I digress. But Left, look, I agree with you, Left. Like, dude, just the offensive line in Notre Dame is, and Mike Denbrock's going to talk about that. It's the heartbeat of the team. It's the heartbeat of the program the majority of the time. And honestly, it's been the defensive line that we're trying to get to match that consistency in the trenches. And once we get that, now we're cooking with grease, doing some nice catfish steaks, if you will, Left, with a little hot sauce.
How you getting your Alabama Clemson?
Yes.
That's the Alabama Clemson right there. We can match up our D-line with the O-line. You get the Alabama Clemson.
Yes, sir.
You get every year. We go from 10 to championships every year.
Last Left before we move on to Marcus Freeman and what he had to say at his presser. Ladies and gentlemen, the secondary was better upon review. They're nasty, bro. They're nasty. And that cat, Al Golden, knows it. He knows it. He's like, I'm bringing that last play. Like that 4th and 2, like there was no doubt he was bringing the house. He's like, oh, I'm bringing the house. 4th and 2, you got 2.5 seconds to figure it out. 2.5. I know you're not going at this. This is what's so great about having a dude left. When you get in those positions, the defensive coordinator knows where you're not going. He knows you're not throwing at Ben. You're not throwing at Ben. Christian Gray knew they're not throwing at Ben. They're coming after me. He knew that. All the confidence in the world, pre-snap. Ball is probably coming my way. So I can be aggressive. And he was very aggressive. By the way, that slot receiver for Texas A&M, that was a terrible rub around. You didn't even get close to Christian Gray. You didn't even try to make it difficult for him. He just had a free path to drive on the ball.
That's right.
Terrible execution by you. I'm sure you got chewed out by Colin Klein in that film session. But no, left. The secondary is, and then Leonard Moore, when he came in for Benjamin Morrison. Dude, that's, man, hey, come on, freshman. He played well. Absolutely amazing job by that secondary. Amazing job, bro. Mike Mickens, I don't know what you have in that room when you evaluate these defensive backs when they're in high school, but brother, you got the eye. Yes, sir. You have the eye.
He doing his thing for sure.
He keep his eyes open like CBS, bro. You hear me? his eyes wide open like CBS.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I like that too. But he definitely, I mean, it's just a rinse and repeat process that he's figured out. He's got one of the best places in the world to recruit from, and his resume stands for itself. You know, Patrick Surtain, Sauce Gardner, top 2 corners in the league. He's responsible for one of the 2, and that just is continuing to grow with success of Benjamin Morris and Christian Gray. I mean, he's in that flow state right now. It's probably why he didn't leave. He's like, man, I got something special right here.
Let's get to some questions before we transition left. I got John Massey. Thank you for tapping in. John Massey, he's a member over there. Appreciate you joining the Patreon. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, Lucky Legends, and also Players Only. Left, was that throw to Love a pre-snap read, like he was hiking and throwing it no matter what didn't even look anywhere else? He's talking about down there on the goal line, the 3rd down pass where he missed Love, but he had Eli Raritan wide open.
He's still on that, not comfortable with the total offense yet. So he's a first read, take off kind of guy still, which is natural. One, because that him reading a full progression has never been his strong suit anyway. So in times when the bullet is flying and the heat is in the kitchen, you just do what you naturally do best. So he felt like he had to get it there. He maybe felt like he could have got it there or whatever the case was, but he's not necessarily built to just Tom Brady through a progression in crucial moments. That's where we want him to grow, what we talked about early on. Mm-hmm. That comes with reps. I mean, he's only been doing it for a short amount of time.
GTP question, I got Jason Smith. Thanks for tapping in tonight. Does being an OC or coach for a high school football team require being a teacher or somehow involved with the school daily? Left?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you can. You can choose to do that. But at the same time, you know, it helps you stay around the kids and stuff when you are working at the school or doing something. But it's pretty niche, you know, because it doesn't pay the millions of dollars that they pay Coach Kelly. On high school level, you usually have your main thing, and then you go do the high school as a quote unquote volunteer. You know, now you get a little money for it, but it's not. It's definitely more of a after school curricular than it is career for if you don't involve yourself with the school too, right? So if you don't combo it with teaching or subbing, or it's really just you go after that certain period of time, you go home.
Unless you're in states like Texas, I
Yeah, if
think
you're in Texas or like these national schools, then yeah. So
like a Bishop Gorman,
yeah.
even a Mount Carmel in Chicago, Jordan Lynch, former Northern Illinois quarterback. The job he does, that Frank Lindsay was there for years. Frank Lindsay, when he retired, I think Frank Lindsay was like close to 6 figures as a head coach. Loyola Academy, where Pat Fitzgerald's son is the starting quarterback for the Ramblers up there. They just got spanked by East St. Louis, by the way. Oh my, whew. Them East St. boys put it on them. Bad. But yeah, Left. It depending upon where you go, there are 2 to 3 schools where the coaches are getting paid, and they're probably part of the staff for the school, so they probably are connected throughout the day. But there are a lot of guys doing it after they have to go do 9 to 5s or conduct business throughout the day, and then tap in with the young men for the remainder of the evening. I got D Month, Mr. Food Lover, with the GTV question. Can we get at players from the different coaches over the past 40 years? Lou, Bob D, Ty Willingham, Brian Kelly. First of all, Brian Kelly would never be on players only.
Yeah, Brian Kelly, different kind of guy.
Lou Holtz, if we can get him, absolutely. I just have to make sure Corey Minor's not on the show with Bob Davey.
That's right.
certain players can't be on the show with Bob Davey. Ty Willingham, I think most of the guys respected him. Not so much as a coach, but I think they respected him as a man.
Yeah.
That's Goolsby, Derek Curry, Shane Walton, those guys, they respected him as a man, maybe not so much as a coach. But we will integrate some coaches for you. That'll be dope. We can do that. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, just $5 a month. I'm telling you, don't want to miss it. The first 2 weeks of content, rave reviews from everybody that's over there now. Link is already in the chat. Find it. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. We just had someone sign up during the show, by the way. We appreciate you.
There we go.
Super chat, Michael Yearson. If Leonard can hit the routine throws he missed last week, the Irish should average 30 points per game. Thank you both for the content. Go Irish. Thank you, Michael, for tapping in this evening.
Well, that's what the whole conversation I've been having this whole time about Riley. He's never been a guy to do that specifically at a high level. It's not how he's made his money. Where we would like, but that's also the level where he has to be when it comes time to win these tough playoff games. He can't, if that was a playoff game, we would have lost. Because those type of skip and rock moments are plays that we need to score in those tough games against Georgia, those tough games against Michigan, against Texas. So, yeah, that's where we hope that he grows to at that point. Good thing is he's got about 11, 12 games before then. And he's got a good offensive coordinator. He's got good players around him. So that's what we saw is the Duke Riley. He's still got that Duke in him. He's got his challenges to elevate his game to be on that Notre Dame Heisman level that we expect him to be, what we paid him to do. Underlyingly, we paid him to win them playoff games. But that level he's got to get to, he has the potential to do it with what he has around him and what's going for him. But what we saw is the Duke version of Riley Leonard. I'm waiting for that game where he sheds that Duke version and becomes that Notre Dame version that we need him to be to win the whole thing. Because that's the same tape he was doing at Duke. That's why they lost games.
You said it, Left, all off season. You talked about how it's going to be tough to come back from that injury, not getting the reps, and he's going to feel rushed. We saw a little bit of that, the rustiness, a little bit of clock sped up a little bit, not going through your progressions. But you also said, look, watch him. He's the same quarterback. He loves throwing down the sideline, but he really doesn't throw over the middle a lot. He doesn't. And so most of his mistakes were across the middle. Most of his misses were across the middle. And ladies and gentlemen, we all want the passing game to evolve. One thing that popped up, Left, didn't I tell you? I said, this is the best I've seen Notre Dame run screens in a long time.
You're gonna be able to do that with a guy that causes attention. The D line is gonna rush Riley Leonard because he's a primary ball carrier. He's the guy that makes it happen. So he's the guy that's gonna pull the defense away to get those screens off. Other guys like Steve Angeli, they probably not selling as hard because they're like, I can read it a little bit better. He's not gonna hurt me. Riley Leonard hurt you running around. So that's a benefit of having a guy like that in the backfield.
Excuse me for a second. I had to blow my little snotty nose for a second, bro. And yeah, I thought you were going to keep talking. Lucky Lefty podcast. So that's what we learned. And I think Marcus Freeman learned a lot. I think he learned a lot from his team. I think the coaches have invaluable information from the film, getting ready to prepare for Northern Illinois as they come into Notre Dame Stadium on Saturday. And Marcus Freeman, he met with the media on Monday. And Coach Freeman was elated, but this is what he said about the game and his overall thoughts. Check it out, ladies and gents.
Team win in a great environment on Saturday. A lot of individuals did some really good things as you watch back and evaluate film, but I'm most proud of how we played complementary football. It was important to play complementary football when two really good teams go at it. And we won the battle of field position, which was a major key for us, and then we won a turnover margin. Those two things were vital for us to have success on Saturday. The defense played really well. 2 turnovers were huge, and holding A&M to field goals 2 out of those 3 times when they were in our territory was key, and that was something we emphasized. And offensively, to not make a crucial mistake, all right, versus a really, really good defense was key. We had to protect the football, and we did that by not turning the ball over and being effective offensively. To finish the fourth quarter with an 8-play, 85-yard TD drive was the difference, right? We knew it was going to be a battle the entire game, and that's really the moment where we were able to say, okay, we have this. We got the game, and we did a good job defensively following that, and then we finished with the field goal. Mitch, special teams-wise, with Mitch going 3 for 3, that was major. That was major, and then I thought our kickoff coverage unit did a really good job of pinning them back a couple of times, and those points are all key when you talk about winning the battle of field position, and that was, they all contribute to that. The player of the game on offense was Riley Leonard, defense was Xavier Watson, and special teams was Mitch Jeter, and then the scout players of the week were on offense Justin Fisher, on defense Kobe Anyuke, and special teams was Cam Williams.
Yeah, I don't know about that offensive player of the game. I'm not feeling that at all.
Yeah, no way.
I watched that game 3 times. There's no way Riley Leonard was the offensive MVP of that game.
No,
I know he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't make the big mistake. But like I said, he missed multiple wide open opportunities for big plays. Multiple.
Yeah.
Like you get the Xavier Watts interception at the end of the half, and you're in A&M territory, and you can't do anything. Nah. Play the 2 running backs were the players of the game.
Absolutely.
That game turned on the 2 running backs.
Riley Leonard can't be the player of the game with no passing touchdowns.
No.
He had 198 rushing yards against a defense that's supposedly formidable, this, that, and the third. And they were the game-winning scores of the game. The biggest plays of the game came from the running game. Jadarian Price kicked it off with that amazing run. Jadarian Price finished off the game with a game-sealing touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I don't know why. But, you know, we do that. We love to cape to that, you know, circumstance. But Riley Leonard, like I said, was in my opinion, calming factor. Because he runs the ball so much, he is a good opportunity for ball control. You know, he's not going to put the ball in jeopardy due to him having the skill set of running the football and being a playmaker. Mm-hmm. He understands the importance of ball carriage. So you're going to have opportunities to run the clock down with a guy like that and play it smart, quote unquote. So those are some of the attributes you can expect. But, yeah, you're definitely – some of the negatives are, you know, conversely throwing the football, being explosive in that way.
Michael Parks, you're a buck wild for saying he was a running game MVP. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have any passing touchdowns, Marcus Freeman.
So, we just – Coach, I know you probably – it's probably a method to the madness after watching film, but – nah, the 2 running
backs. That $2 million it goes a long way. You got it. I mean,
you know what? I'm not gonna count that man's pockets, man. Like, look,
it's not Riley Leonard having the $2 million. It's the $2 million and what it requires. What it requires. You're gonna have to acknowledge that every time.
It requires better than that. That's all I'll say. It
definitely was. But the money not being cashed in till the end of the season.
There's somebody in the chat, because I don't want to go back and lose my spot, but somebody in the chat said he won the game. Ian Book won game. Like I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that. We're not gonna let it happen. That's not winning the championship. I thought we were all on board winning the next championship.
No, we're not about to let them cape. It's too early in the season.
And Ian Book won championships. That's not it. That's not it. And I said last week, did I not left? I expected him to struggle. So I wasn't shocked that he struggled, but I'm shocked that I expected him to struggle with certain things. I didn't expect him to skip rocks to wide open wide receivers. Now that I didn't expect that. The easy ones, I expected him to be able to make. It's the tough ones, like the Devin Ford throw that everybody jumps on him about. Dude, breaking out of a sack, to the left, running away from a defender. Dude, everybody else, you can jump on his back about that. No, I'm talking about the easy ones. Chris Mitchell over the middle, Jeremiah Love, Eli Rare, like Bo Collins, defender falls and he's wide open. Those are the things that I'm a little bit concerned about. Like, you need to hit the easy ones. If you hit the easy ones, we should be fine. We should be fine. But make no mistake, you're going to have to be special come playoff. You're going to have to make some special plays when you go up against good teams.
And that's nothing Riley did was special. What was special was that Jadarian Price run, where he's bouncing off the guys running 60 yards. What's special is how how Jeremiah Love is finishing off the game with a nice touchdown run. That's special. Riley Leonard didn't do anything special. He did what we expected him to do. But it goes back to that. It goes back to why special is required from Riley in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They can do all the caping they want right now. Fine. Let that caping motivate him.
And that's not too much to ask, Left.
And it's not too much to
No
ask.
one's asking for the moon, the stars, quasars, George Jetson. No one's asking for that out of the world stuff. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's asking for the robot from Lost in Space.
No.
Nobody's asking for that. Danger, Will Robinson. Nobody's asking for that. We're literally asking this young man to not try to carry the squad and just be special when the
time has come. That's it.
When it's time to be special, be special.
Because it's going to be too glaring when you try to do too much because of who else we have on the team. We don't need you to run around late in the game when we can literally run the victory with our running backs. Mm-hmm. So when you do that and you mess up or you fumble or something, all people are going to think about is, we got all these guys on the team that we can do all this and you doing that. You just put yourself in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in a bad spot because everybody's just going to reflect on everybody else on the team that can do better than that. So that's my biggest advice is like, hell, let it put it on them. put the ball on them. So if they drop it, okay, we can talk about something else. And I think that, he'll learn through the season and through ups and downs, but the safe net and the whole reason why we keep talking about this is the offensive line. You can make errors. You can have mistakes. You can grow within an offense when you can block up front. When you got time in the pocket. Okay. Nobody's mentioning the fact that, all these guys were open and Riley could have did this, could have did that. You know why he could have did that? And you know why? What nobody saying? Oh, he ain't had no time. Nobody's saying that. And so that's why I keep mentioning this. This is a bigger microscope for Riley Leonard, is because at Duke, those skipping rocks will be excused by, he don't have no time. He don't got no time. If he don't throw the first guy open, he's gonna run around. He's getting hit. They can't say that. Now they saying, why is he not reading one and reading two and getting to the open guy? He's got time. This is where you get exposed. When you're not a consistent passer and you got time in the pocket, anybody on TV is gonna be like, oh, I see a guy open. Oh, I see a guy open. Because you got time. If this was 2013, 14, DeAndre Francois against Florida State offensive line where he's just getting killed every time, then they give you the excuse, right?
Remember that opening, that season opener when he was getting lit up?
They give you the excuse. Oh, he's a playmaker. He's so tough. He just stands in the pocket and takes hits and he's just doing what he can. That's what they did for Riley. But now Riley got an offensive line. He got time in the pocket. So now you have to grow your pass game. Skipping rocks aren't acceptable no more because there's dudes open. You got to progress your game that now I got to look to the second and third receiver because I got time. You got time. You got time. You wasn't expected to do that at Duke because they like, he's Superman. He's going to take on the defensive line and run around and make a play, and we don't need all that. If one's not open, stand in that thing, find Jordan Greathouse. Stand in that thing, find Eli Raridon. You know what I'm saying? We got playmakers.
Yeah, he made the third down. The third down throw to Greathouse on the touchdown drive was a big time throw.
Yes.
Quick throw, big time throw.
Yes.
One of his best throws of the night. Bo Collins did the majority of the work because the throw to Bo Collins wasn't really back shoulder.
No, Bo Collins
made a fantastic play.
Okay. So that's my point.
Yeah.
You don't got to be perfect when you got a 6'5" guy. You don't got a 6'5" senior. You don't got to be perfect. It makes it easier to throw it over there. I mean, it's you got to think the mind of what you're going into. If you a play caller, a head coach, the quarterback himself. He's like, man, listen, I'm not going to worry about accuracy. I'm going to just throw it up to the 6'5" guy. Worst thing he can do. Right? Worst thing he can do. I'm going to make sure I don't throw it out of bounds. That's why he threw it inside.
Yeah.
But he tried to throw it up because he's 6'5". I mean, come on.
But that goes back. I will say, it's very obvious that he's a leader. Like you pointed out, Left. And earning that C at Notre Dame as fast as he did,
Yes.
you tip your cap. That tells you something about that young man. We
Yes.
already knew he was tough as nails last year when he played Notre Dame. We knew that. We knew he was tough as nails. We found out he was a leader in the offseason. Now, that next step that's invaluable come playoff time.
Nobody want to hear no talk.
Can you consistently make the easy throws because you're going to have guys open? I said it, dude. The safety came down into the box the vast majority of the time for Texas A&M. There were opportunities as you watch the film to take shots. Now, whether it was him being rushed because of the pass rush, which I understand. I never played the position, so I never try to tell a quarterback, hang in there. Take that extra half second. Most quarterbacks would tell me that's your job. That's your job to do that. But it's also your job to go through the progressions. And like you said, man, you pointed out all summer, like, dude, he's sharing snaps and he didn't play in the spring. There's no way he's going to be ready to go full go in that game one. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, we told you last week that he might be a little fooled with what he was walking into when he stood before the media and when asked about a big game to start a season, he said, I played plenty of big games. And we chuckled and said, nah, bro, you've never experienced anything like this. And you watch him. Go watch the game as the clock's running down. Go watch it. He stands on the sideline and takes his helmet off. And he takes a big, deep breath because he knows I just got away with one. He knows it. Like, whoo. And then Brock walks up to him like, yeah, it's real. Like, that gold helmet as a quarterback is real. Like, you never felt the weight like that. You've never felt the weight like that. You've never played in a game like this. Not like this. Because being the underdog, playing against Notre Dame is totally different than being the quarterback of Notre Dame in front of 107,000. It's totally different. There's levels to this. And I think the young man, came to respect fully what he had walked into and accepted when he accepted the role of being the starting quarterback. I think he got a crash course in it Saturday night. And thankfully for all of us, he walked out of Kyle Field with a victory. Indy Milton fan with the GTB question, were you surprised and impressed with Riley Leonard's command of the offense and composure given the moment? I don't know. That's a mixed bag, Left. I don't know how you feel about that. Composure, yes. Command of the offense, no, I don't. I think Left was honest saying his command of the offense wasn't really. He's still, because you could tell, not going through the progressions. He pretty much was in see it pre-snap, which he talked about. If I'm not mistaken, let's play that clip, Left. This is what he said after the game. And I think it points to some of the things that he felt. I want to make sure. I think I got rid of that. But after the game, I wish I still had it. After the game, he talked about, he got me. Coach Elko got me with some looks. He got me with some looks, and it's like that immediately tells you that he was heavily dependent upon pre-snap look, which most quarterback, that's quarterback. Pre-snap, knowing the picture. But then the great ones are able to recognize when you're trying to trick them pre-snap, but they're also able to quickly go from 1, 2, 3 in that 3.5 seconds, you know. And so composure, yes. Yeah, composure, yes. He was very composed all night. But as far as, you know, having full control of the offense, I don't know. And then it was like considering the moment, like I would give more credit to the two freshmen on the offensive line. When you talk about considering the moment, I would definitely give them a huge amount of credit for their composure and the way they handled things, considering the moment. I mean, the things that they messed up with, you can teach. Like, that's teachable. That's teachable. They'll clean that up. By Louisville, you watch these young men, I expect both Pendleton and Knapp to be 10 times better. 10 times better. Left, did you mute yourself? I'm sure he'll be back. He probably stepped away. Lucky Lefty podcast. And as I say that, Marcus Freeman, he met with the media and he talked about getting a phone call from his old ball coach at Ohio State. This is very interesting.
Just had about 10 minutes ago I had a call from my college coach, expecting to hear great job and big win. And it was, hey, I just want to remind you, he said the greatest danger is the illusion that all is well when indeed all isn't well. And that's the reminder that I needed more than anything, is that, you know, it was a big win for our program, you know, versus a good opponent, but we have so much work to really improve on. And that's kind of the focus now as we go into Monday.
I think it's amazing when you hear him talk about Coach Tressel. He thought he was going to get that congratulatory call, like, good job, coach. Man, great job you did with your kids down there, going down there and getting that win. And immediately Coach Tressel was like, hey, man, this is when you're vulnerable. You're coming off a big win, you're emotional, your team is emotional, but it's not all good. It's not all good, so don't fall prey to that. I thought that was, man, I love that. I love Coach Tressel and his wisdom and knowing that and not falling prey to congratulating his protege and just throwing flowers at his feet after a huge win. That was a huge win. You can't deny that. Huge win on Saturday night. But he got him back refocused. And that's what you love. You know, sometimes that's how you know you have great people in your life. Because when you're expecting to receive love, they love you enough to tell you the truth and to tell you what you don't necessarily want to hear in that moment. And I'm super excited for Coach Freeman that over the last 2.5 years, he's had Coach Tressel and Lou Holtz to lean on for things and moments like that. Love that for him. Coach Freeman also talked about his offensive linemen. He talked about his offensive linemen, what they did, how they improved. And I thought the love he has for those young men and just the entire staff, when they flat out said, these young men give us the best chance to win, man, honestly, I think that proved itself to be very true on Saturday night.
I was really proud of the way they performed. They did a good job versus a really tough defensive line, and they battled. And, you know, there's some mistakes that maybe to the normal person's eye, it's like, man, that's an old lineman's fault. But there's also some things as a coaching staff that we got to put them in better situations, you know, make some different checks and things like that. But they continued to battle even after, you know, maybe you got beat, you got a holding call, you had a false start. Like they reloaded and they went back and performed and they really competed through all 4 quarters. So we're really pleased with the performance of our offensive line.
I was pleased as well, Coach, as most Notre Dame fans would probably echo that. Pleased with the anxiety that was connected to their start, the anxiety that was connected to going into the game with a collection of 6 starts across that entire offensive line. Emil Wagner was a question of right tackle. Ladies and gentlemen, you watch Emil Wagner on this film.
Hey, he made the transition.
Hey. Ashton Craig and Billy Shroud, monsters in that game, right? And if all we have to worry about is Sam Pendleton really getting locked in from a communication standpoint and learning how to check his inside and get outside to that blitzer. That's something he learns with reps. You learn that with reps. He's gonna be okay. Anthony Knapp, he has to trust himself. He met with the media left. He said, yo, I got beat by the spin move. And then I anticipated the spin move on that holding penalty I got. And I panicked a little bit. Yeah. And I have to trust myself. This is a kid that's like, yo, I know the mistake I made. Now, I don't know if I'm going to face. No, I take that back. He will face the gelato kid from Louisville. He's going to be a task. Matter of fact, that Louisville defensive line will probably be the next test.
Yep.
For the offensive line when Louisville comes to town. But man, the Austin Gelato, I think that's his name. I think I said it's gelato. I just called him ice cream.
Was he Italian?
I'm not sure, bro. I don't want to sit here and say I know the breakdown of his ethnicity. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, definitely that's probably the next test. But I mean, either way it goes, we're still a test for other programs. I think other teams respect us as a measurement or a measuring stick, you could say, in terms of how good their D-line is. Against the consistency of Notre Dame. So as much as we're worried about defensive lines out there, I'm sure they're worried about us, because it's not like every year we're worried about the same defensive line every year. Every year for us it's a new one that pops up.
Yeah.
What we know about us is that we're here every year. So it's like you going against something, you know what's up.
That is.
Clemson had their four defensive linemen All-Americans that we hung with in the playoffs. Florida State, when they was winning championships, we played them. You know, so we played teams that had ups and downs in their D lines.
Yeah.
But Notre Dame's always been consistent.
Yeah.
Stanford, when they had a good defensive line when Zach Martin was here. So we've been battle tested through the years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would be over the top. Ashton Galot, that's his name. Ashton Galot. But I would be over the top about what these young men were able to produce. Because I think they went into the game. I think Marcus Freeman alluded to this in his post-game presser. Like, dude, they shaped the game plan around those youngsters. And he talked about it in that clip. We have to continue to do a better job of putting them in the right position, right? Max Pro, using 6 in Max Pro, using 7 in Max Pro. You saw them chip with the running back as they went out to the flat. They did a lot to help Anthony Knapp and Sam Pendleton. So I think, they know what they have to do until they can get these young men to a point where they can trust them to give this passing game 3+ seconds, because they have the talent at wide receiver.
And hell, it's not all for the offensive line. It's for Riley Leonard too.
I mean, it's everybody in concert. Everyone works in concert. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. I agree on that, man. Marcus Freeman, he gives us a peek into his thoughts on the NIU Huskies as they come into Notre Dame Stadium on Saturday.
emotions of a victory or a defeat affect the way you evaluate what you need to do to improve. And we have to believe that our preparation is the key to us having success on Saturdays. And that's what we'll continue to rely on, is that, hey, let's evaluate the film, really understand and own the mistakes that we've made as coaches and players, and then come up with a process to fix it and go attack it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then we get a chance to go out and play on Saturday. So we have to prepare, and we have to have a critical eye.
What is he talking about, that critical eye as a coach? Not being forgiving. He's not forgiving. Because, you know, when you get a W, sometimes you'll forgive certain things. But, you know, as a parent, sometimes you're like, all right, I could snap, but I'm really not going to say anything. What do you think is the temperament of the coaches this week, Lev?
Well, I just think embracing the new challenge of this is a different team. You got to start over. You know, you're trying to be 1-0 every week. So this is a team that you got to start from ground up. Your process has to be the same in how you break down and prepare week to week, because that's the consistency that allows you to win. You can't go into each week coming up with a new way of how you're going to stop this team or resting on what you did last week.
Mm-hmm.
You got to always be in that, okay, after Sunday, what's the same process we did last Monday to prepare? And then, you know, next play mentality and you know, the 24-hour rule, all those things they talk about to be able to live in the present moment, but also realize that the season is fast. So you thinking about an emotional win and you got an opponent that you're supposed to beat and you lose to, is because you're usually not focused. So that's half the battle, is having success but still staying motivated.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have super chats from my guy, Anthony Solomon. Thank you for tapping in tonight. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the show, gentlemen. Thank you. Anthony, as always, one of our day one guys locked in with us. As always, another one, super chat from D. Mont, Mr. Food Lover, the players that played for those coaches. Oh, speaking about the podcast, Oscar McBride, Reggie Brooks, they were on the show this week. They played for Lou Holtz. We've had Shane Walton on. He played for Bob Davey. I believe he played for Willingham as well. We had Derek Curry on. We're going to have Derek Curry on. We're going to have Chris Zorich on. We're going to have CJ Procyse on this season. Devin Butler. I mentioned Derek Curry. Cam McDaniel. We have a lineup coming all season long of former Notre Dame players. That's why you need to get over to patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Let's see. When we come back, Luff, you ready to talk coordinators before we get out of here?
Yep.
Let's talk coordinators, and then we'll talk about who has the most pressure now with the expanded playoffs. Interesting conversation. MALIK, ZAIRE, SHAUN Davis, Lucky Lefty Podcast. We spin it different.
What's up, family? The merch shop is finally here. Lucky Lefty Network merch shop. We got it all. From the shirts to the hoodies to the hats to the nitty gritties. Come here right now. Shop with us. Come get the swag, because you know, if anything else, we spin it different. You see the gritty. You see how we get down. It's elite.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. It is a wonderful hump day, hump evening. Pause. I didn't want that to come out like that. We're brought to you by ONORA Whiskey. ONORAWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey. ONORAWhiskey.com. ONORA Boys. MALIK, ZAIRE, SHAUN Davis. Lock in. Apple Podcast, Spotify. We give you audio edibles each and every day. CFB Nation. Lock in on YouTube. Subscribe, share, hit that like button. The thumbs up. We appreciate it. Leave your comments, questions, because we respond to all. And then you need to connect with us over at TikTok and X and Instagram at Lucky Lefty Pop. Patreon.com patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Just $5 a month right now for incredible content. Lucky Legends, legendary stories from former Notre Dame players featuring the stories about their first start, donning the gold helmet, and also their most memorable season opener. Man, yo, how many of you know that the first start for a certain former Notre Dame player was 2 weeks after he broke his jaw in practice? You can only hear that exclusive story. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, the Lucky Legends podcast, and then the Players Only podcast for former Notre Dame players, talking about each and every game this year, recapping the games, and then previewing the next game. You can find it exclusively on our Patreon, patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Just $5 a month. You can get all of that content all season long and throughout the off season, because they're going to be doing recruiting film breakdowns during the off season as well. You don't want to miss that. There's no one that can break down film better than the guys that played it. Lucky Lefty Podcast, home of the misguided passion, forever committed to making sure that we spin it
Different.
left. Let's go Al Golden first, because we talked about the linebackers. Left, get your GTB questions in. GTB super chats, get them in. But Al Golden, he talked about the linebackers. I told you, this is the first game where I saw all linebackers doing their thing, making splash plays. The depth they have is absolutely incredible. Al Golden talked about his linebackers and the young ones in particular.
Did a nice job. We rolled them through there. They responded. Thought they had a great look on the sideline. Executed really well. Really, it was immaterial where we were in the game. Whether it was low red zone, 4th and 2, didn't matter. Whoever was up, and that's as simple as that. So they did a great job communicating. They did a great job running the front, and hopefully they'll make a big gain here between game 1 and game 2.
We hear it a lot, Left. Is that really true, or just coach speak that teams make their biggest jump between games 1 and 2?
Well, you would hope so, because if you go by the philosophy of you either get better or you get worse, you would hope that you got better the next week, or at least better at the mistakes that you had before. So I think that that's a little bit of coach speak, a little bit of word salad, coach salad, if you would say. But at the same time, it's true. If you want to continue to get better week to week, you got to learn and look at the mistakes and correct them for the week next.
Yeah, I got John Massey tapping in. He said, Lucky Legends is hilarious. I was crying listening to them tell Left how practice was back in the day. Yeah, I didn't know Left's eyes could get that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cat Lou Holtz was threatening to snatch scholarships. Right?
Yeah. Brian Kelly would do it. You just wouldn't say anything.
It probably didn't have the same feel.
It wasn't the same. It was more like, what's going on?
Yeah, I wouldn't even take Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, I couldn't even take him seriously with the way he banged the table the other night. Like, dude, you're not fooling anybody. No one's scared of you, bro.
It's the commitment to character, man. He's always going to continue to do, even though you may know it, he's going to do it anyway.
Yeah. I got Lilo Galante. This is funny, man. Lilo SD. Have you been to Pookie Crack Cakes in the city yet? If not, look them up. Bro, I'm from the South Side. How dare you ask me? You trying to tell me I'm not official? That's what you're saying. I'm official. Matter of fact, the husband of the owner grew up with me in church. So yes, I've been to Pookie Crack Cakes, and I don't stand in that long line. Let me tell you something, bro. This spot has a line outside, a block long. They open at 10. The line starts at about 8:30. Every day. Every day. Like, no lie. Because their cakes, they make their cakes like in the form of loaves. In the form of a loaf cake. Man, melts in your mouth. It's buttery. I'm a big, huge fan of that strawberry lemon cake. It's fantastic, bro. Absolutely murderous, bro. They got a nice lemon pound cake. So it's fabulous. It is definitely, and it's literally like it's in a questionable area of the city. I'll be fair. It's in a questionable area of the city. It is, but people respect it. They respect the business. They respect the people that are standing in line. People come from all over the place, the suburbs, the downtown area. It's really respected by everyone. They've really taken the city by storm. It's a fabulous place. I just found an ice cream spot that I'm going to try next week, Left. You know how I am with the ice cream spots.
Right.
Because I sent you to one out there. Let me get the name of this ice cream spot for people that might be in the Chicago area. It is on 104th and Harlem, which is closer to the Cicero area. It's called Cake and Bake. Cake and Bake. So you know how you do the waffle cone cups with the ice cream left?
Okay.
Their specialty is the croissant cone. They do the croissant cone. Yeah. You would think like that's kind of crazy because it doesn't have the same crunch as the waffle cone, but I'm gonna give it a whirl.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
I'm gonna give it a try before it gets too cold up here because we probably have like maybe one more week or so before the leaves start falling off and everything happens. Yeah, Hossie. I guess I am an ice cream savant. I guess I am. John Massey with another GTB question before we get to some more from Al Golden. What are Coach Left's post-game notes after his first high school game this year?
Oh, man. We got to eliminate penalties that stop our drives. We had some good drives that got eliminated through crazy penalties that put us behind the sticks. So we got to clean some of that stuff up. That's on me as a coach because that's a discipline thing. Some of those calls were very questionable. I'm not going to lie. Had to have some conversations with the refs. But can't turn the football over. I mean, we got plays that are there. You got to hit them. I mean, that's just the name of the game. So I think we'll have more confidence going into week 2. That was our first game ever together against the number 9 team in the state. And this is not the number 9 team in the state that we're going against this week. So we should be all right.
So basically you have a version of NIU that you're facing this week, huh? That's what you're saying?
Hey, we better make them look like NIU.
We'll get to NIU coming up shortly. Al Golden, not only was he extremely happy about the young linebackers and their production, and he expects them to take a big leap this week. His words, not ours. He also talked about NIU, what needs to happen, how they need to improve, what he expects. Al Golden.
Did a great job. We had a great marriage of rush and coverage. Everybody was on the same page. We made a couple more plays than them. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Just a couple more plays, and obviously the offense putting together that drive. I think it was at the 6-something mark. That was a big drive, and then our guys went out and responded. In the next 4. So and then obviously the kick at the end. So, that's complimentary football right there. All three elements there in the last 5 minutes of game contributed, and I think that had more to do with it than anything.
Northern Illinois has a lot of returning starters. I think it's 9 on offense. Just your thoughts on them and the challenge that they bring.
Yeah, so a lot of challenges schematically, a lot of different personnel usage, and then the personnel formationing, but also then the personnel itself, right? So 81 at tight end, a guy who can get vertical, big long target, good hands. 49 blocking tight end, does a heck of a job, physical. 3 at the wideout spot, number 1 at tailback. We might see both quarterbacks, 2 and 14. So, I think the O-line is rugged, and they believe in what they're doing. That's the biggest thing. They believe in what they're doing in terms of the different runs and different groupings, and they make it a challenge defensively. So we really got to be focused. Today was a good start. It really was. We got to come back tomorrow and build on that.
I like hearing that the practices early in the week are good. Seems like they're locked in. Coaches got across to them like, hey, we have to be better. But Coach Hammond, first of all, if you haven't watched the Northern Illinois press conferences, man, and you want to be entertained, I told you, man, during my time at ESPN, we would host them and we would go up there and do college football shows on the NIU campus in DeKalb. And that man is one of the greatest men you will ever see. He was a college football running back. His attitude, a great sense of humor. Yo, if you want to be entertained, watch his NIU press conferences every week, because he has a few zingers every week. He's definitely worth the 10 to 12 minute listen. On top of that, Left, we could talk about NIU just a little bit, because you said some disrespectful stuff on Players Only. And Reggie Brooks and Oscar McBride were always worried about, man, we can't take anybody lightly. And you were like, look, man, this is Northern Illinois. And what are we talking about? If we don't smack them, then there's something wrong with us. But running back Ontario Brown, and then, man, they have a dual threat quarterback, Ethan Hampton. That was all. He was absolutely fantastic against Western Illinois, but it was Western Illinois, who was 0-11 last year, one of the worst teams on their level and in their conference. So the competition, dude, he threw at least 3 touchdowns that were blown coverages. I'm talking about the coverages were blown so bad, you didn't even know anybody else was on the field until the young man was like at the 5-yard line. You finally saw a Leatherneck from Western Illinois coming to focus. So but Ontario Brown is a very good running back. Low to the ground, strong, powerful, good speed, shifty. Their offensive line, they return their full offensive line, so they're experienced, they're rugged. They're going to be around 295, 300 in that range. And then you have Trayvon Rudolph, the speedy wide receiver that they have, that had 2 big touchdowns last week. So they're going to come in and they're going to challenge you early, especially schematically. I love the way they force you to defend them horizontally and vertically. They do a great job of that as a coaching staff. Their new OC, of course, against Western Illinois, everything looked great. But once again, Notre Dame defensively is not Western Illinois. They're not. So they're going to be challenged in a lot of different ways, but they're going to give Notre Dame a lot. This, in my opinion, Left, will probably be an even greater test of the young linebackers because of the eye candy in the Northern Illinois offense. This is truly going to test the eye discipline. The wheel route, the jet sweeps with the counter action and other things they like to do off of the pre-snap stuff. So even though we expect Notre Dame, I think the 25.5-point favorite right now, we expect them to take care of business. But I think early on, it's going to be a test. I do.
Yeah, it definitely is going to give us an opportunity to see where exactly how technique sound we are, because we know we can obviously overwhelm them. But like you said, being technically sound, reading your keys, seeing what's going on, I think that's going to help us put in perspective what just how good we can be, and then to have a good day executing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you talk about what Al Golden was talking about, I think it's going to be very important that Notre Dame be focused. And as I said before, it was absolutely fantastic to hear Al Golden say his guys had great practices early in the week, and he's feeling good going into this Northern Illinois game. Lucky Lefty podcast. Let's switch over to the offensive side of the ball with Mike Denbrock, who, Coach Denbrock, everybody talked about their scrimmage and how happy they was. And happy they were about the last scrimmage. And then Mike Denbrock came to the mic and was like, nah, too many missed opportunities. We should have won by more. And I'm like, okay, all right. But he talked about the need to be patient in that game against Texas A&M, but also moving forward, he's going to have to be patient.
I mean, I believed as we all did in the decisions that we made on who was going to be playing offensive line for us, and it was important to continue to give those guys opportunities to settle their feet and get into the game. And listen, good run games against good defenses kind of entail how the game kind of unfolded, right? It's not very pretty in the beginning, and once in a while you'll hit one kind of midway through the second and third quarter, and then if you've done enough damage and your guys are playing as physical and aggressive as they need to be, the damage really comes in the fourth quarter, and I thought that's what played out Saturday.
Eventually, this offense needs to come in waves, Left.
Yeah.
It needs to come in waves, bro. The running game, I think, as much as we didn't want to hear it because we expected the passing game to take a step forward, especially with the addition of receivers and Riley Leonard. I'm sorry, man. Let's be honest, Notre Dame fans. When was the last time Notre Dame went on the road in a big game against a credible opponent, said they were going to run the ball, and actually did it? I'll wait. When was the last time Notre Dame, against a credible Power 4 opponent, went on the road, said they wanted to run the ball, and then actually did it? They couldn't do it at Duke last year. They couldn't do it against Louisville. They couldn't do it against Clemson on the road. They did it last week. So as much as we want to see the explosive plays and the passing game take steps forward, that was a huge box check, in my opinion, Left. Going into a tough environment and being able to play bully ball when it mattered the most. That was pretty impressive, bro. You're right, man. Bob said Oklahoma 2012. Yeah, I'm trying to think. No. The 2015 squad, you guys ran the ball.
Yeah,
No. I take that back. They ran the ball against that because that North Carolina State defense was supposed to be tough, and Notre Dame ran the ball on the road last year.
Yeah, no, they ran the ball a lot last year.
Yeah. They ran the ball against North Carolina State last year.
Yeah, ran the ball.
I think that was the last time they did it. And so it was impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think the running game is what is a good old reliable because it's always going to be there. It's just a matter of coming in waves, like you said, in the pass game. That's got to develop. That's got to be there for us when we need it in crucial moments that we didn't have against Texas A&M. Because if you know Denbrock, he's looking to take more shots.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking to go down the field. So it probably pained him that he wasn't able to do it as much as he probably wanted to.
Let me ask you this question, Lev. How do you expect them to approach this game? Because I'm going back and forth, Lev. I said, they're playing Northern Illinois, so I expect them to take shots. Then I watched the film and I'm like, they had shots. Riley Leonard just didn't take them. And then I say to myself, they still have to protect these two young offensive linemen. So as much as I might think, they're going to take a lot more shots, I think they're going to heavily depend on the run game early and then pick and choose when to take shots. I don't think they're going to be over the top and just allow Riley Leonard to throw the ball like 30, 35 times. I don't see that. Do you see that?
No, I mean, I don't think they're going to get out of character. They may try early to do more things in the pass game, but, I think Denbrock's going to look to win the game first, but add in things that he wants to see and things that can help this offense progress and evolve to, especially depending on what the quarterback skill set is.
GTB question from Indy Milton fan. Thanks for tapping in. When do you foresee the offense starting to heat up, Left?
I mean, it'll heat up over. I mean, we're playing games we should win. So we should win because we're going to score a lot of points. And so throughout these games, expect us to see the people that we've been wanting to see pop. We have the offense that a different guy every game could have a pop out game.
Yeah.
First game was Bo's. Next game could be Jadarian's. Next game could be Jordan Grayhouse. Next game could be Chris Mitchell. It could go down the line.
Yeah.
So I think that's just what we'll see throughout the season is different guys having their games.
Okay. Another super chat from my guy Hossie03. Thank you for the super chat. How's the team looking, Left?
We're good. We're going into a good matchup. We should be able to do what we want. We got to start fast and get the ball to our good players. Defense obviously isn't going to be our strong suit, but we believe offensively we can hang with anybody.
Yeah. And like people talking about, I don't know. Look, man, last year, Marcus Freeman and this program took steps forward by smashing teams that they were considerably better than, putting them away. That trend has to continue this season. There's no excuse for it not to continue, especially with this defense. Coach Denbrock also talked about not just being patient, but then having to concentrate and really focus on the things that they need to clean up this week.
How they attack the game, their mentality for the game, how they played the game physically, off the charts. We got from them exactly what we expected to get from them. Toughness, a physical attitude about playing the game that a Notre Dame offensive line plays with. And then, obviously there's technical issues and where you put your hands and where you put your feet and how you communicate to the guy next to you that may have led to some things that, we need to do better. So, the heart of this offense and the heart of this football team, I don't think you can question very much based on the way the game went, how it played out, and what happened at the very end. There's a million things that we have to concentrate on this work and be so much better at going into next week's game or this week's game.
You agree? Do you agree with Coach? There's a lot that they can be better at, or is it just some small things? Okay.
I mean, I'm sure you want to strive for more. I mean, you had 0 passing touchdowns. There's a lot to be done. You had 23 points. There's a lot to be done. Denbrock was talking about this being a top 10 offense. There's a lot to be done. So, yeah, that's the major things. Obviously, those things that we can clean up could be skipping rocks, protection, running routes differently here or there.
Yeah.
But those little things equate to scoring 40 points, having passing touchdowns, this, that, and third.
Yeah. Yeah, we got another super chat from my guy, ND Milton fan. Can offense be as dominant as defense this year?
Not this year, but we could be able to complement our defense by taking advantage of turnovers, scoring when it matters, giving our defense breaks through long drives, things like that. We can play better complementary football to our defense, but as dominant, no way.
I think, Al Golden talked about that in the presser, how they played great complementary football against Texas A&M, and they're looking to get better, both sides of the ball. So you love to hear that. Mike Denbrock with some more about his squad, his offense.
It was invaluable for us. We're not laden with sixth-year seniors or fifth-year seniors. We got some new faces in some new spots, and being able to communicate with those guys, not only verbally, but show them on the iPad, exactly what was going on that snap in that game, and be really specific with the details of how we wanted to adjust things, I thought really paid a lot of dividends as the game went along.
you coached this game from the sideline. I think last year LSU you were in the box. Which one do you prefer?
I don't know. I usually try to judge that based on a number of different factors. I mean, I think this decision came down to what was best for this group of young men that we're working with this year on the offensive side. You know, last year I didn't feel like that was as necessary as maybe it is this year, so made the decision to be down. And really, because we have so many new faces, it gives me an opportunity to kind of be hands-on with all the different groups, and especially in the environment that we were in Saturday night, communicate directly with everybody, whether it's players or coaches or whoever that happens to be.
Left, pause before I say this. Are you an up-down guy? Up or down guy? I'm sorry. Up in the booth on the field. I had to say pause, bro.
Well, I'm on the field. I like the field a lot better.
Okay. Why?
I like it a lot better because you get to just feel the game. You feel the momentum. I feel like I can see and evaluate better. I can talk to guys right there, fix things in real time, communicate with different position groups and coaches. It's just a little bit better. In the box, cool, but you know, I like to be more hands-on with my team.
And most great play callers seem to call things from down on the field more so than being upstairs, which kind of lends itself to what you talked about. But Mike Denbrock talking about being upstairs last year with LSU when he had, the talent he had, the veteran talent at wide receiver, running back, quarterback, offensive line. So there was no need to really be down on the field. Juxtaposed to this year with the young offensive lineman, Riley Leonard is a first-time starter in his system, and with new wide receivers transferring into the system, there's a greater need for him to be on the field. So when he says there's a greater need, what exactly does he see himself impacting? Because you just mentioned why you stay down on the field, getting a greater feel, but what can he have his hands on or be closer to? Maybe whispering something to Riley Leonard, or helping Coach Rudolph with something, or being in concert with the other coaches? Is it something in particular that's really helping him out based upon the Notre Dame situation that exists?
In terms of what Riley can, I guess what he can do. I mean,
no, I'm just saying, like, this is a situation where he has a young offensive line. Nobody is a true veteran of the system other than Jaden Greathouse and Jordan Faison. And the running backs are first-time starters. So everyone is like, facing live bullets for the first time for the greater percentage of this offense.
This gets to one of my points I mentioned earlier where it comes to be who are your X factors. We talked about, everybody got some potential. Everybody got some skill. Everybody's got things that they've made it to Notre Dame because of. But Denbrock, Gaduli, Mike Brown, these guys had to identify who are the characters that when we are in these exact situations, who do we get the football to? Is that a Jordan Greathouse? Yeah. Is that a Micah Gilbert? Is that a Chris Mitchell? Is that a Bo Collins? Is that a Jeremiah Love? I said that was what needed to be figured out in the spring for exact moments of right now.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, we got a bunch of talent, but we kind of need that go-to guy. And you're like, we got Faison and this guy and Jordan Greathouse. But who's Denbrock calling this play for? Because all of them guys can't get the ball at one time. And we found out this week it was Bo Collins. But next week it potentially could be somebody else. And I think that's where the uniqueness of our offense is. Because if you go anywhere else in the country, you know who's getting the ball. That's the one thing you don't know with this offense. Literally everywhere in the country you go, you know who's getting the ball.
Yeah.
You saw Isaiah Bond for Texas get the ball. What do you mean? You saw Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State get the ball.
Your boy McMillan for Arizona. They just kept going.
McMillan for Arizona. And they got $20 million on Ohio State's roster, all that talent. And Jeremiah Smith got the ball most of the time. Period.
The true freshman down in Alabama, Ryan Williams.
Got the ball. So every team that's topping the hell, Miller Moss doing his thing. Gave it to Kyron Hudson. I mean, every offense that we've witnessed so far in this first week, that's a top program, got the ball to their best players, even with other really good players on the team. Ohio State got Ibuka, a draftable player, top 5 receiver. They got Judikins, top 5 running back. And guess who got the ball? The true freshman. So that lets you know that even Ohio State, as much talent as they got, identified their best player. Notre Dame hasn't done that, and it showed. We didn't know who to really go to. It surprised us at the end that we ran the ball to win. But it didn't surprise me, because who did I say in the tweet before the game who the player of the game was going to be? Jeremiah Love. Because that's our best player. Not Riley Leonard. Jeremiah Love's our best player. And until we recognize that, until Marcus Freeman can be honest and be like, Jeremiah Love is our best player in that first game, then we're going to struggle offensively, because when things get tight, 9 guys that we like can't get one football on one play. Period. And every team that's good in offense in the country, you know who their number 1 guy. I mean, it's not even no secret.
And if he's good, there's nothing you can do about it.
The dude from Arizona had 300 yards.
And he didn't play the fourth quarter, bro.
It didn't play the fourth. You don't think that Arizona got other receivers? You don't think Cam Ward in Miami got other receivers? Who's catching number 7, Restrepo, or whatever his name is? Catch the football. So why is it so hard for Ohio? Why is it so hard for Notre Dame? It wasn't hard when we had Jack Cohn, because Kyron Williams. It was Kyron Williams' show with a little bit of Kevin Austin, a little bit of Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
And we won games, and it wasn't no secret.
Yeah. Lucky Lefty podcast. All right, Left, we're going to transition. I want to start out with this, just to give you a snippet, guys, of what it's like each and every week on Lucky Legends and Players Only, the podcast.
Hey, real quick, one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
We should take a poll on who thought that Bo Collins would be the player of the game.
Hey, that's LL question of the day.
We can't even agree on who the player of the game was on offense.
No, Marcus Freeman.
Talk about Riley Leonard. What are you talking about? That's not true. I said Jeremiah Love, because that's but Bo Collins. You know what I'm saying? Who was the player of the game, and who?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Riley Leonard. Nah, not for that game. Nah, I would have given the game ball before I gave the ball to Riley Leonard. I would have given the game ball to the 2 freshmen.
Look, you even got a different player.
It's like, yo, come on, man.
It's only one game ball. We done said 5 different people. That's a problem. Because it shouldn't. Arizona, who was the game ball to? Okay. Ohio State, who's the game? When they go, that's why we don't get no highlights on ESPN. They be like, who are we talking about?
I don't know. They played the Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love runs on ESPN.
Because they think the player, just like me. So you see what I'm saying? So I don't know, man.
Hey, man. I'm not gonna buy too much in that Lucky Lefty podcast. I'm just saying I didn't agree with the assessment. Shout out to Cam Williams getting special teams player of the week.
There you go.
Shout out to you, young man. Another thing, dude. Usually Notre Dame is like veteran laden on special teams, especially the coverage units. It was nice to see Cam Williams and Bryce Young and freshmen getting run and making plays. And people remember that's how Isaiah Foskey kind of bust his cherry on special teams, blocking punts, making plays. So Bryce Young, young man, keep your head down, do your job. Future's bright. Future is absolutely bright. So just so you guys can get a sneak peek of what you're missing each and every week over at the Players Only Podcast and Lucky Legends, we have something for you to listen, watch, and then Left, I think we should kind of discuss it. Let me see if I can. Oh, here it is right here. I got you, Left.
And you know what's so special about Notre Dame is that we're all over the map. We got California, Texas, and Arizona in one place, but we share one thing, and that's Notre Dame.
Bro, we're going to have a home game in December.
Man, look here.
South Bend, Indiana, baby. Are you ready for that?
That might be the one thing that make us go to a conference in all seriousness.
We're about to get this dub, bro. Go Irish.
We got to get this done. That's right.
Go Irish and nobody else.
Nobody else. And let them feel it.
Just the way players play all day, every day.
You got the win, Left. You got the win.
That's right.
You got the win. That's what you guys asked for. And you got it, man. I'm so happy for you guys, man.
That was smooth. I like that.
He said, so you like that? Here's another little piece of what you might be missing. Players only. Lucky Legends. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the stories. Reggie Brooks, Oscar McBride. Last week, talking about the 3 Cotton Bowl matchups with Texas A&M in 1987. Reggie Brooks talking about that was his recruiting trip. He came to the bowl game to watch his brother play as a freshman for the Fighting Irish. He was there when Chris Zorich was crying in the locker room and he didn't play. This is the same game where Lou Holtz talked about never having a team be unprepared, like he had his team unprepared after getting demolished by Texas A&M, and then they go on to win the national championship in 1988. And in 1992 and 93, they dominate Texas A&M in 92. Corey Pollock and the Aggies come back in 93. R.C. Slocum has his guys ready. They jump out to a lead. And then Notre Dame, just like Saturday night, they dominate the fourth quarter. Kevin McDougal leads the Fighting Irish back for the big-time victory in the Cotton Bowl. Those are the type of stories that you miss if you're not subscribed. Players Only, Lucky Legends, over at patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. You get the audio and the video. You need to go check it out. Tons of content and stuff like this, which is going to lead to our next debate.
From my perspective and from my experience, the hangover is a real thing. We cannot take anybody for granted. Even in those games where you should beat the hell out of people.
Not Georgia. We see a team go out there. They're supposed to do everything.
You can't compare us to Georgia. We're not in the same.
What time out? Why not?
We're not there. All right. Hey, I don't know. You obviously got something in your can that's not an energy drink. Because you can't compare us to Georgia, bro. We're not there.
Wait a minute. I'm saying we see the level of what we're trying to get to.
Okay, again, trying to get to. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're trying to get there, but we're not there yet.
Now, okay, that's my question. If we're not there yet, where are we at in the program? Because I think we're a playoff team looking to try to get to the whole thing.
But only reason we're a playoff team right now because we see ourselves as a playoff team because the playoffs is expanded.
If it was a 4-team playoff, are you still saying Notre Dame's getting into the playoffs this year?
With the schedule we got right now?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just the way players play all day, every day.
Get over there right now, patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. So, Left, if Notre Dame was still in a world where it was only 4 teams getting to the playoffs, would you feel comfortable saying they were a playoff team?
After week 1, yeah. I mean, I think
okay.
We have some resiliency, and our defense is going to give us an opportunity to be anywhere with any top 12 team. So with a pretty good offensive line, a top 10 defense, I like our chances, at least as a top 12 team.
Okay. But if it was a 4 teams playoff, you still think Notre Dame with this schedule sneaks in?
They would probably rig us like UCF in 2017, 18, whatever that year was, when they went undefeated and felt like they should have got in. Or hell, Florida State last year. I feel like they would do us like that because they're going to be like, well, who did you beat?
I can see that. Sitting right now, do you think you feel good about Notre Dame's chances to go undefeated?
Yeah, I think we still have the high chances of doing that as long as maintaining health and all of that. But so, yeah.
Okay, so let's expand this conversation. First year playoff expansion, 4 teams, and now 12 teams get in. Who's under the most pressure with the playoff expansion? Who's under the most pressure with the new playoff expansion? You could take this anyway. You can talk teams, conferences.
I think we're under a lot of pressure, but
okay.
The most pressure probably at Georgia, just because this is a new format to dominate and nobody's done it. So they can't feel as if they're the top dog until they do it. And to me, they're the best team right now. So, until we start games off like how they start week 1s, then that's the difference. They start week 1s scoring 50 points almost. We start week 1 scoring 23. Until we do Texas A&M crazy or whoever the first game, you know what I'm saying? Because Georgia blew out Oregon. Remember that first game of the year?
Man, curb stomped them.
And Oregon was a good team that year. But they got beat the brakes off of, like they wasn't even in the same league, though. That's Georgia beat Oregon, who was an 11-12 win team that year. Like they wasn't even in the same league. I'm talking about beat them literally 50 to what, 10 or something like that.
I think it was 50-3, dog.
Yeah, something really crazy. And this is a team that won 11 games. That's dominance. What are you talking about? So until Notre Dame gets there, then I don't know.
What was that, 2022?
Yeah.
49-3.
Golly. And that team won 11 games.
49-3, that game.
You beat an 11 win team 49-3. You're in another. What do you think about that, Sean?
I'm sitting here looking at the team stats, bro.
I mean, they beat them like they stole something. Like,
the crazy thing about these stats, bro. They outrushed Georgia that game. They ran the ball for 140 yards. Now, most of these offensive stats were probably built up in the second half, or when the game was pretty much over. It was 28-3 at halftime, 42-3 after 3 quarters. So yeah.
That could have been a 70-0, 70-3 if they wanted to.
You're right.
So it's like this is a team that won 11 games that year, Sean. Notre Dame we can't talk like that.
But like you said, why do we fear having that conversation, knowing that is the mark we're shooting for? So why be fearful of having the conversation? I mean, the last time Notre Dame played Georgia, it was a one possession game with Notre Dame having the ball at the end of the game.
Yeah.
With a chance to win both times at home and in between the hedges. So yeah, I think the Georgia program has progressed since those two matchups. So I'm not saying that would be the case right now. But in the same breath, I think Notre Dame is, well within their rights as a football team as they progressed and go into a playoff situation that if they have to face Georgia, we can hang with you. We can hang with you.
We couldn't offensively.
Well, I said by the time they get to the playoffs.
I mean, we're
hoping that the quarterback we went out and got can make enough plays, because Georgia still doesn't have dude. You watch the first half, Clemson's DBs were able to kind of stifle Carson Beck in that passing game, right? Trevor Etienne didn't play. That's a whole nother thing. They were playing with their second and third running backs. Trevor Etienne, who's probably extremely happy he transferred from Florida. My God. He's probably like, dude, this is night and day, these two environments. But I think it's fair. I think the way you really defended Notre Dame and how you should be comparing them and using Georgia as the litmus test for them throughout this season, I think that's fair.
Absolutely, because who else will be shooting towards? Who else are you shooting towards? Because we're in a league of our own when you talk about the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
We can't lean on the ACC competition and feel like that's helping us win a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
30-1 in that conference or something crazy. So who else do you lean on for a program shifter to keep Marcus Freeman's job, us closer to a championship, recruiting standards? Because Marcus Freeman can't recruit like Brian Kelly and win 10 games with a mediocre roster. I don't think that's Marcus Freeman's personality coaching. He's going to try to reach for what Georgia's doing.
Mm-hmm.
First year he went where? He went down to IMG. Gave out offers to top recruits in Georgia, Florida, Alabama territory. So Marcus Freeman probably knows where the real rabbit in the race is, and that's where Georgia is. So not that he's trying to be like Georgia, but beating a team that wins 11 games 42-3 and then you 49-3 and then you call off the dogs in the fourth quarter. That's different. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M's not winning 11 games. So there's that.
Man, give me a second. I was looking at their recruiting class. I know they lost Dylan Raiola at quarterback. I know they picked up another really good quarterback. They got the best quarterback in the 25 class, in my opinion, the big kid out of Tennessee, who's, man, woo! Notre Dame couldn't even get a sniff from the young man, but he's absolutely amazing. But if they had stacked him and Raiola looked actually, I can't wait to see Shedeur versus Dylan Raiola, because Nebraska and their team, they're chirping a little bit, talking about Dylan Raiola being better than Shedeur. I can't wait to see that Colorado-Nebraska game this week. Can't wait to see it. Intrigue right there. But I agree with you, Left. I absolutely agree with you. It is, there's nothing wrong with that. Compare them. Do you guys feel the recruits are trending heavy on Notre Dame since the win down in Texas? We'll see. I do. Deuce. Now, see, I've always been a sit back and let Deuce Knight and his family really filter through everything. And I'm not saying this because I know something, but I pay attention to Deuce. Deuce is very strategic if you pay attention to his social media. So yes, he played Friday night, played his game Friday night with an Auburn towel on it connected to his uniform. He turns around then and he's communicating and tweeting with Notre Dame recruits that went to the Texas A&M game, and he's retweeting or reposting their posts on social media. And then yesterday, he posted a picture of Riley Leonard on his Instagram. The young man has a lot. It's a lot. It's literally this situation where I can literally set myself and set my family up short term, and I don't know what the current situation is. And then Notre Dame can set me up for the rest of my life, literally. Some of us have had those decisions, and some of us have chosen the now over the future. And we're blessed enough that everything turned out okay. As Notre Dame fans, we would of course encourage him to think big picture and think Notre Dame. But I think it's very telling that this young man is torn.
Yeah. He's torn.
And people try to make it seem like he's doing Notre Dame so bad. No, man, this dude is dude. When you're presented with things that make decisions really tough, I can't blame that young man for either decision. I'm keeping it a buck. I can't blame that young man for either decision.
That's right.
Can't. And if he goes to Auburn, he's starting day one, more than likely.
Easy.
He's starting day one. It's his show. It's his program. Just period. He was at Auburn this weekend. I don't think he was on another kid posted him, another recruit, a wide receiver recruit, kind of put him on his IG, and Deuce you could tell he was caught off guard by it. But it is what it is. I don't really think he's comfortable with the situation either, Left. I think it's a very uncomfortable situation for him to be in. And it's real easy for people to say, well, he can just shut it down. Yeah, he could. There's a lot of factors involved, man. I'll be honest with you. It's a lot of factors involved. But by this time, this time last week, he's going to commit on the 31st. He's flipping. What's today's date, Left? September 4th. 2 weeks before that, August 17th. He's decommitting on the 17th. Or the week of, leading up to the 17th. He just left Auburn. He's decommitting Monday or Tuesday. That was the middle of August. It's September the 4th. Notre Dame's in the pole position. I don't care what anybody.
I still think we're in a good position.
They're chasing Notre Dame. And Notre Dame going and getting that win, the way they got it, and him posting Riley Leonard on his IG.
Yep.
Braylon McCall, another kid from Mississippi who was in the stands as a Texas A&M visitor, tweeting, "Go Irish," after the game. Braden Jones, defensive tackle, Mount Carmel, Chicago, a visitor. Big-time Notre Dame prospect in the 26th class. Came away even more impressed with Notre Dame. Like they do. Notre Dame did more in their recruiting in the 26 class on Saturday night, and this is what we said. Whether it's wide receiver, keeping deuce, or recruiting moving forward and taking that next step and solidifying yourself as a perennial top 5 recruiting class.
Yep.
It starts on the field. Notre Dame can do more for their recruiting on the field this year than any phone call or anything else. Period.
Yep.
Period. Go out there, smack, playoff run.
Smack.
Watch the recruiting take off. That's where it is. If Marcus Freeman gets results on the field, everybody in the country knows he's a problem on the recruiting trail. They know it. They know it. Left, as we get out of here, I feel like there's more pressure on coaches now and administration. You said Notre Dame has pressure, but I think you as a player had far more pressure on you than Riley Leonard. You knew if you lost the game left, more than likely your chances might have been dashed. Because you don't have a conference tie-in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
the expansion gives Notre Dame that one game mulligan, in my opinion.
Yeah, it gives them one game to kind of just figure stuff out, get hot, going into the second game. I don't think we could afford a bye if we got like a Georgia or something based off of – that's how it would be. It would be 1 versus 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the second round.
Mm-hmm. So, when you really think about that, I think administration, you look at the top 10 teams, Notre Dame is the only team that's not Big Ten or SEC in the AP top 10. It's almost like the NFC and the AFC. It's like 2 big conferences, dude. The top 10 is just the AFC and the NFC of college football. 2 big conferences and then Notre Dame. Right in the middle at 5. It's crazy. It is absolutely insane when you see what the landscape looks like, right? But even with that, if you're in Oklahoma and you can't make a 12-team playoff, what does that say? If you're LSU and you can't make a 12-team playoff, you think that's going to sit well with administration? Administration is going to have a little bit shorter leash, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because of this playoff expansion and the money involved. Ladies and gentlemen, it's come November, when there's some big games down the stretch in all of these conferences, it's going to be some tight booty holes, for real, on the sidelines. You can believe that. You can believe that. Oregon and Dan Lanning, they don't make that top 12. They get a couple of losses in the Big Ten. Because Dylan Gabriel doesn't look like Bo Nix in that offense. I'm sorry. I'm not scared of Dylan Gabriel like that. The run game doesn't look the same. It is what it is. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Man, thanks for tapping in with us, guys. We greatly appreciate you. Yeah, that's it, Left. Anything else before we get out of here? We'll see you guys Friday morning, man, when we do the prediction show, wrap it up, have your GTB questions, super chats, everything. We'll hear from the players. Malik will give us 3 keys and his clean sheet, and then we'll give you our scores as Northern Illinois, the Huskies, invade Notre Dame Stadium for the home opener in 2024. For Left, SD2 Mics, have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for staying up with us, man. Thanks for staying up with us. We love you guys. Spend it different.